Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ralf and Jenny's podcast. Hopefully, we'll get a name for that soon so we can call ourselves something different. But we're really excited today because we have our very own Jill Hasselmann with us. She is the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at HR for Health. And not only that, she is the all-knowing. So she's amazing in her knowledge, and we always love to speak with her and gain her insight into what we're speaking about. So today, we really want to discuss some major pain points, and one in particular that has been coming up a lot with our prospective clients. And also just in the world, we're hearing about non-discretionary bonuses and what it means and how that works. And there's a lot of confusion around that right now. So we thought, hey, let's talk about that and get some good explanation and insight into what that means for all of our group practices out there. So Jill, I'll start with that. What is a non-discretionary bonus? Help us out.
Yes, no pressure at all of that intro for me. Thank you. But yeah, let's jump into it. So a non-discretionary bonus, very simply put, is a bonus that an employee can expect to receive. Okay. Meaning, I know as an employee, if I do X, I am going to get Y. So this is something that is agreed upon with the employee prior to giving it. And it's usually offered with the purpose of improving performance or productivity, increasing revenue, and that goals are set and standards are set in advance of what that payment is going to be made. So again, very simply, if I do X, I'm going to get Y. And usually these are tied to the employee's quality of work or quantity of work. And again, used to motivate the employee to remain with the business or to improve their performance. So very common examples of this are bonusing on production, bonusing on collections. And this can be individual bonuses, or it's very common for us to see group bonuses. So all the employees' efforts are pooled together for them to get a share in this bonus that will come at some point in time. And they know when they're going to get that bonus and what that calculation is roughly of, if I'm doing X, what am I going to get for Y?
Perfect. Yeah, it kind of helps them keep their eye on the target, it sounds like, too.
Yes, that's usually the goal.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can I ask a question, please? And yes. This is going to be difficult with like the three of us, and all three of us like to ask questions or get into this. But I think that what is really important to differentiate here is the first part of the word non-discretionary is non-discretionary. So there has to be a discretionary bonus. What's the difference here?
Yes. So a discretionary bonus is just that. It really is based solely on the employer's discretion. And there's some criteria that makes a bonus discretionary, just like there's criteria that makes a non-discretionary bonus non-discretionary. So it's, again, based on discretion, but also the amount is usually variable. And also it's usually non-recurring. So it's not set up where the employee doesn't know necessarily how much they're going to get. It's not something that is consistent, that comes back up, and the employee isn't expecting at all to get that bonus.
So it's a surprise bonus.
Exactly. It's an I like you employee bonus. So really common examples are a Christmas bonus. As a practice owner, I'm feeling very generous. I'm going to give everybody a $500 bonus for Christmas. But the amount isn't set beforehand. You're not saying, you have to do this to get the $500 bonus. It's just out of the goodness of my heart, I'm going to give this to you. I'm not telling you before what it's going to be. It's totally up to my discretion if you're getting it or not. So the employee isn't set up to understand prior, I'm working towards this bonus. It's just something that comes up at will for the employer.
Gotcha. So then I guess the reason why we're here and why this actually comes up for our clients is there are some really, really important rules that have to be adhered to when it comes to overtime pay. And I think that this is where something that is either non-discretionary needs to be really taken serious, because this is where someone can easily fall out of compliance. So I kind of want you to draw that line between those 2 points for us of why do we have to pay attention to overtime payments when it comes to non-discretionary bonuses?
Yes. So what the laws state, and this is at the federal level, so this does not matter where you are, is that in order to pay somebody overtime, or what you should be paying 1.5 times of, is an employee's regular rate of pay. And the definition of an employee's regular rate of pay has to include non-discretionary bonuses. So again, discretionary, we do not have to look at those bonuses as affecting overtime pay, but non-discretionary we do. And the reason is, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the laws are the way they are, but probably the most simplest way to think about it is a non-discretionary bonus. An employee is knowingly working towards a goal during those hours that they're working. So the hours that they're working have to be considered when we're doing that total overtime amount. So we have to look at, it's not just 1.5 times their hourly rate of pay, it's 1.5 times their regular rate of pay, which the law says non-discretionary bonuses have to be calculated in that to find their regular rate of pay, which we then do the 1.5 times of.
Oh, that's very interesting. And I wonder, how is that calculation done? Is that a complicated, calculation there? What does that look like?
Yeah, it is really complicated. And that's why most practices aren't doing it because it's complicated, or as we mentioned, they just don't even know about it. We don't know that there's a difference between a non-discretionary or a discretionary bonus. So we're just paying bonuses. And so the calculation does get a little bit complex, but to try to simplify it, what we need to do when you're looking at figuring out that person's regular rate of pay is you're going to look at the total wages that were earned for that work week, including overtime pay, hourly rate of pay. You're going to look at that total amount, and then you're going to add the bonus amount that was earned during that work week to get a total amount owed for their wages. Then you're going to divide the total wages that we got, so the bonuses plus the total wages for the week, and you're going to divide that by the total hours.
Lost me at a divide like just a few minutes ago.
I know, but try to stay with me here. Okay. So you're going to divide the total wages for the work week by the total hours worked for the work week. So this includes overtime, regular hours. So again, let's say somebody worked 42 hours in the week. 40 of those are normal wages. 2 of those are overtime. So we're going to divide the 42 hours by the total amount that was owed based on our bonus and our total wages. And that's going to give us what the regular rate of pay is. And then you do 1.5 times to get the overtime rate of pay. So what this means is usually we owe a little bit of extra overtime. And again, the reason being is because that employee, while they go into overtime, are working towards that non-discretionary bonus. And so that has to be considered when we look at their 1.5 times. Where it gets really complex is when this bonus is earned over multiple weeks. Because what the example I just gave, we're just looking at 1 week. But usually production is paid, let's say we're paying them out at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter for all of their production or collections that we're bonusing them on. We have to go back and look at all of those work weeks throughout that month, throughout those 3 months, to see what were the overtime hours within that and do those additions. So it does get really complex. Again, some people know they have to do it, and it's just the juice isn't worth the squeeze to do the calculation. They take the risk, and others just don't realize they should be doing it at all.
Right. So I have to do a shameless plug for the HR for Health software. $1 million question. Does our software do this for our customers?
Yes. I have to tell you guys, because I was way back when we started to develop that out in our system, I was heavily involved in it. And it was super complex for us to get these formulas into the system. And a lot of people that were familiar with payroll functionality and timekeeping were like, why are you doing this? This is super complex. And our goal, because we are rooted in compliance, is if we're going to be processing payroll, we have to make sure that the non-discretionary bonuses are calculated correctly. And everybody thought we were crazy, but we made it work. And so, yes, the software it's super simple. You basically put the non-discretionary bonus amount into the system. You select the date range of when that was earned. So over a month, over 3 months, over a year, whatever the variation is. And then our system goes back and looks at all of the timesheets from that time period and does that calculation for those additional overtime hours owed. And I think what's also important for the audience to know is this isn't massive dollar amounts usually.
Right.
It's just a few extra dollars that's owed. So it's not going to break your bank, but it will break your bank over time if you're not paying that, because that's where an employee can go back and say, I wasn't paid everything I was owed. And that's where it really starts to stack up, because you have your fines that are included, penalties, things like that. So it's much more worth it to pay them an extra $20 on a payroll than risk not doing this.
And just be so worried that you're taking this risk. I mean, if you don't know about it, hey, you don't know. And then hopefully you figure that out.
Right.
But for those who are taking that risk, I don't know. I would not be able to sleep well at night knowing that I'm not paying correctly. And that you're leading to a really good point here. I would hope that this wouldn't deter an organization or a dentist to not want to give a bonus, because like you said, it doesn't add up to be a lot. And I think what you're going to get, the value you get when you set a non-discretionary bonus for an employee is, so much better for the entire organization.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's already set. You're all doing it already. You're already paying them non-discretionary bonuses. Like it's so common to be incentivizing employees like this.
Yeah, I think what is really important here, Jennifer, the point you're trying to make, and what Jill is talking about is really important to repeat on. We don't want you to not pay discretionary or non-discretionary bonuses because it's a complicated calculation, right? I think that there is an inherent value in incentivizing employees to do good and to help produce as much as they can to do well, right? And yes, it may be complex, but there is a solution out there, A, and B, it really helps your business, right? And it keeps employees happy, and there is a higher retention rate of employees if they know that they get bonuses, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that is a really good point.
Are there a lot of time clocks out there that do this for them? I mean, I don't know that. I'm assuming the practice management software time clocks do not do this. So they're having to do that crazy calculation themselves.
Most time clocks don't. And the reality with the payroll companies, if you're using their time clocks or just using the payroll company to process your payroll, is there's a really interesting gap where the time clock systems are kind of saying, well, that's not on us. And the payroll companies are saying, this definitely isn't on us. You are just going to tell us how much we're supposed to pay. So the onus really falls back on the employers to make sure the calculations are correct. So I have yet to find a time clock that's doing it, because it is very complicated in a software to do the calculations. It took us months and months to develop that out. Because again, I was personally involved. It was painstaking, but it's absolutely necessary, because it's just like any wages owed, you have to make sure that that's included. And making sure it's written down. That's the other piece, is if you have a non-discretionary bonus set up, the employee should know how that formula works, how they work towards it, when you're going to pay them for that, when you do the calculations. And I know this podcast is not addressing policies yet, but I just have to give that plug. It is really important that you have that clarity so that there is a point of reference for how it works. And it's really clear, because non-discretionary bonuses, everyone knows going into it how it works. Again, if I do X, I get why. Has to be really clear.
Jenny, I think Jill is inviting herself to our next podcast.
I was like,
this is my audition.
Come back. Like, she has more good stuff to talk about. This is the feeling I'm getting here.
Well, I would love that. The only thing I'm going to suggest for next time is that we all just kind of go like this, raise our hand when we want to talk.
I like talking over one another.
Yeah,
you don't seem to mind.
Well, Jill, thank you so very much for explaining that. I think that this is really, really important. As you can see, the reason why we bring Jill on is not just because she's the subject matter expert, but she literally built the software we are so proud of supporting our clients with. So she really knows what she's talking about. Thank you all for watching, and if you have more questions, please reach out to Jennifer Fetty. She will be able to answer those questions for you. HR for Health is here to support you in your compliance concerns, as well as your software support. So with that said, thank you all for watching, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.